The storage closet they'd converted into my cabin smelled like industrial cleaner and broken dreams. Standing in the doorway, I could practically touch both walls at once. A single bed was crammed against one wall, with just enough floor space left to maybe do a quarter turn without hitting the tiny sink. No window, not even a porthole. My name is Heidi, and this was how my siblings decided to welcome me aboard our family's dream reunion cruise. Is there some mistake? I asked the crew member who'd led me here, hoping against hope. He consulted his tablet, frowning. No mistake, Ms. Richards. This was specifically booked for you by... He scrolled through the details. Kylie Richards, using the shared family booking account. Of course it was. I forced a smile. Thank you. I'd barely finished shoving my suitcase under the bed when my phone buzzed with a group text from Kylie. Everyone meet at the Sunset Dining Room in 10. Don't be late. The dining room was exactly what you'd expect. All gleaming brass and crystal, with panoramic windows showing off the Miami skyline. My family had already claimed a prime table. Mum waved enthusiastically, while Dad barely looked up from his menu. Kylie held court in a designer sundress, my younger brother Nate hanging on her every word. There's our working girl, Kylie's voice dripped honey-coated venom. How's your cabin? Cozy, I replied, sliding into the only empty chair. Almost as cozy as that fake Chanel you're wearing. Mum jumped in before Kylie could respond. Girls, please, this is supposed to be fun. Kylie was just telling us about her travel blog hitting 50,000 followers. That's amazing, sweetie, Dad beamed. Following your passion instead of just chasing money, that's what life's about. I bit my tongue and studied the menu. The prices made me wince. I'd contributed my share to the family cruise fund, but between student loans and starting my career from scratch, it had wiped out most of my savings. Oh, Heidi's cabin was just a little joke, Nate chimed in, grinning. We thought it'd be funny. You're always so serious about everything. Hilarious, I muttered. Speaking of serious, Kylie leaned forward. Aren't you supposed to be doing some big work presentation during this trip? That's so dedicated of you. The way she said dedicated made it sound like a terminal illness. Before I could respond, our waiter arrived with champagne. A toast, Mum raised her glass. To family. I clinked glasses mechanically, watching Kylie and Nate exchange knowing smirks. The champagne tasted like ash in my mouth. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of pointed comments and passive-aggressive reminiscing. By the time I escaped back to my closet cabin, my jaw ached from forced smiling. That's when I saw it, a yellow sticky note stuck to my pillow that definitely hadn't been there before. In Kylie's looping handwriting, enjoy your career cruise, LOL. I crumpled the note, my hand shaking. Through the paper-thin walls, I could hear laughter from the corridor, probably my siblings heading to their luxury balcony suites. My phone buzzed again. A text from Ruby, the concierge I'd met during check-in. Everything okay with your room? I noticed some unusual booking notes. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I started typing. Actually, I could use some help. The tiny room suddenly felt less like a prison, and more like a war room. If Kylie and Nate wanted to play games, fine. But they'd forgotten something important. I didn't get where I am by letting people walk all over me. I pulled out my laptop and opened the presentation I'd been preparing for months. The VP position I was gunning for back home would change everything. If I could nail this pitch via satellite link in 2 days. Another text from Kylie lit up my phone. Hope you're not working too hard in there. Would hate for anything to go wrong with your big presentation. I turned off my phone and got to work. The cabin's fluorescent light buzzed overhead like an angry hornet, and somewhere in the distance, I could hear the ship's horn announcing our departure from port. Game on, dear family. Game absolutely on. My phone exploded with notifications around 10 a.m. Instagram tags from Kylie, dozens of group photos from their morning excursion to the Bahamas. Everyone smiling on the beach, sipping cocktails, swimming with dolphins. Photos I wasn't in, because nobody bothered to tell me they were going. Oh my God, we tried calling you. Kylie's voice dripped fake concern when I confronted her by the pool later. You must have had your phone off. We knocked on your door too, but... No, you didn't, I cut her off. I was awake at 6 a.m. working. Nobody knocked. Nate lounged nearby, scrolling through his phone. Chill, sis, it's vacation. Nobody wants to hang out with someone who's just working all the time. I noticed he was liking all of Kylie's posts, especially the ones where she'd tagged me in unflattering candids from dinner, complete with captions like, "Some people just don't know how to relax." "Miss Richards?" A voice interrupted us. It was Ruby, the concierge, holding a tablet. "I have those dinner reservations you asked about." "Thanks, Ruby." I smiled, grateful for the escape. She walked with me toward the business center. "I see this kind of thing all the time," she said quietly. "Family cruises bring out the worst in people." "Tell me about it." I checked my watch. I need to finish prepping this presentation. My whole career could depend on it. The business center was mercifully empty. I set up my laptop, spreading out my notes. Ruby brought me coffee without asking. Black, exactly how I needed it. "Your sister was asking about access to this room earlier," she mentioned casually. "I told her it's restricted to business class passengers only." I looked up sharply. "When was this?" "This morning, around 6. Ruby's expression was carefully neutral. "Just thought you should know." I worked straight through lunch, ignoring more tagged photos and group messages about afternoon activities I wasn't invited to. Mum sent a text asking why I was being antisocial. I didn't bother responding. Around 4 p.m, I went back to my cabin to change for dinner. The door was slightly ajar. My heart stopped when I saw my laptop sitting in the tiny sink, water dripping from its edges. The screen was black. Nothing happened when I pressed the power button. "No, no, no!" I frantically tried to dry it off, but I knew it was too late. Salt water had destroyed it completely. "Oh my goodness!" Kylie appeared in my doorway, hand over her mouth in theatrical shock. "What happened?" "You know exactly what happened." My voice was ice. She shrugged, examining her manicure. "Must be the salt air. Everything gets so damp on cruises. Maybe you should have been more careful with your precious work stuff." Her smile was razor-sharp. "Oops." I stood there shaking as she sauntered away, her laughter echoing down the corridor. My presentation was in 24 hours, the presentation that could make me VP that I'd spent months preparing for. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Check your email. You'll want to see this." I opened my inbox with trembling fingers. There was a forwarded chain of messages from weeks ago. "Kylie, we need to make sure she can't do that presentation. It'll be unbearable if she gets promoted. Nate, leave it to me. I'll get into her room while she's at dinner." Kylie, "Perfect. She needs to learn family comes first." I sat down hard on my tiny bed, the fried laptop dripping onto the floor. Through the wall, I could hear Kylie's voice on the phone. Totally freaking out, as if she ever had a shot at VP anyway. A knock at my door made me jump. It was Ruby, holding a tablet. "Business center's empty until midnight," she said quietly. "And I might know someone in IT who can recover cloud backups." I stared at her. "Why are you helping me?" She smiled slightly. "Let's just say I've seen enough family drama to know who deserves the karma." She paused. "Make them regret it." I grabbed my bag and followed her out. My siblings wanted to play dirty? Fine. But they'd forgotten something crucial. I didn't get where I am by giving up when things got tough. And I always keep backups. The business center's fluorescent lights buzzed as I logged into my cloud account. My hands were still shaking, but not from fear anymore. Pure rage had replaced panic. "You should relax." Kylie's voice rang out behind me. I hadn't heard her come in. "It's not like you were getting that promotion anyway." I kept typing without turning around. "Don't you have some fake luxury photos to stage?" "I'm just trying to help." She perched on the desk next to my borrowed tablet. "You've always been so intense about work. It's not healthy." The memory hit me like a slap. Being 12, proudly showing Mom my science project. Then finding it accidentally broken the next morning. Kylie innocently suggesting I should have been more careful with it. Just like now. "Remember when you told Dad I cheated on my college applications?" I finally looked at her. "Or when you convinced Mum I was partying instead of studying, so they cut off my tuition help?" "Ancient history?" She waved her hand dismissively. "You're still so dramatic. Get out." Excuse me? Get out. I turned back to the screen. Some of us actually work for what we want. She stood, smoothing her designer dress. Well, good luck with your little presentation. Though maybe this is a sign you should focus more on family than climbing the corporate ladder. The door clicked shut behind her. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Ruby appeared moments later with coffee and protein bars. Your sister's quite something, she said, setting them beside me. She's been like this since we were kids. I pulled up my backup files. Thank God they were all there. Always had to be the star, always had to win. And our parents just let her. And your brother? Follows whatever Kylie does? I started reformatting slides. He used to be different, before she got her hooks in him. Ruby glanced at her phone. Speaking of, heads up, he's heading this way. Sure enough, Nate appeared in the doorway minutes later, looking uncomfortable. Hey sis, save it. I didn't look up. I saw the messages. He shifted his weight. Kylie said it would just rattle you a little. We didn't mean to... To what? Destroy thousands of dollars of equipment? Sabotage my career? Now I did look at him. What happened to you, Nate? You changed first, he shot back. Always working, always too busy for family stuff. Kylie says... I cut him off. Try thinking for yourself sometime. He opened his mouth, closed it, then left without another word. Ruby whistled low. Your family's providing better entertainment than our evening shows, she said. I managed a small laugh, then froze as my tablet screen suddenly flickered. A message popped up from an anonymous sender. They were planning this before the cruise. Check the family booking account timestamps. Ruby peered over my shoulder. Creepy. But maybe worth looking into? I logged into the shared cruise booking portal. Sure enough, there it was. Kylie had reserved my cabin weeks before anyone else's rooms, specifically requesting the converted storage space. This whole trip was a setup, I whispered. Then maybe it's time for a plot twist. Ruby's smile was slightly wicked. How's that presentation coming? I worked through the night, fueled by coffee and spite. Around 3 a.m., Ruby snuck me into the premium business lounge to test the satellite connection. Everything worked perfectly. By sunrise, I was ready. My presentation was backed up in 3 different places. I'd even recorded a version, just in case. I headed back to my cabin to change clothes, passing Kylie's luxury suite. Through the door, I heard her on the phone. No, it's handled. She'll completely bomb the presentation. Then maybe she'll finally realize she needs to stop trying to prove something and just accept her place in the family. I smiled to myself, thinking of the backup files safely stored away. Kylie had always underestimated me, assuming I'd break easily like when we were kids. But I wasn't that girl anymore. My phone buzzed. A message from Ali, my mentor back at the office. Ready to knock their socks off? I typed back. They won't know what hit them. The ship's horn sounded the morning wake-up call as I straightened my blazer. In a few hours, everything would change. Kylie and Nate thought they'd clipped my wings. They were about to learn I could soar without them. Sorry, I'm not feeling well, I texted the family group chat, declining their breakfast invitation. Must be seasickness. Kylie replied instantly, Poor thing, maybe you should rest instead of doing that presentation. I ignored her and locked myself in the business lounge. The satellite connection held steady as faces appeared on my screen. The board members, investors, and Ali, my former mentor, all waiting to hear my pitch. Whenever you're ready, Heidi, the CEO said. For the next hour, I owned that room. Every slide was perfect, every number backed by solid research. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. Impressive work, the CEO finally said. We'll be in touch very soon. I barely had time to breathe before my phone exploded with messages from Ali. Holy shit, girl, they loved it. The Singapore investors are already talking numbers. I allowed myself one small victory dance before heading to lunch. My family was already at their usual table, Kylie holding court as always. Oh, there she is. Mum waved. Feeling better, honey? Much better, thanks. I sat down, ordering a champagne. Kylie's eyes narrowed. How did your little presentation go? It happened. I shrugged, sipping my drink. Nate fidgeted with his napkin. Look, about your laptop. Ancient history, I cut him off, using Kylie's own words from yesterday. My phone buzzed again. Ali. Call me now. Private place. I excused myself to my cabin, hands shaking as I dialed. They're offering you the position, Ali burst out before I could speak. Not just VP. They want you to head the entire Asia-Pacific division. Full package, shares, bonus, everything. I pressed a hand against the wall to steady myself. Are you serious? Dead serious. But here's the best part. Remember that luxury cruise line account you wanted? It's yours. Complete control of their entire marketing strategy. I glanced at my tiny porthole, a plan forming. The same cruise line we're on right now? The very same. You start as soon as you're back. What do you say? I say yes. I was already pulling up the cruise line's internal booking system on my tablet. And Ali, thank you for everything. Show them what you're made of, girl. I headed to guest services, where Ruby was working. I need a favour, I said, sliding her my tablet. How quickly can you process a suite upgrade? Her eyes widened at the booking screen. With these credentials? Instantly. But this is... the Penthouse suite, yes. I smiled. Let's keep it quiet for now. Of course, she typed rapidly. Though you might want to see this first. She turned her monitor toward me. It showed security footage from earlier. Kylie and Nate in my cabin. Nate clearly dumping water on my laptop while Kylie kept watch. The cameras caught everything, Ruby said, including the audio from Kylie's smart speaker she left connected to the ship's Wi-Fi. I pressed play. Kylie. Just fry it completely. She needs to learn her place. Nate. What if she has backups? Kylie. Please. She's not that smart. This will teach her to stop trying to outshine me. My hands clenched into fists. Can you send me that footage? Ruby's smile was downright devious. Already done? Now, about that suite upgrade. I spent the afternoon making arrangements. Every detail had to be perfect. Around dinner time, my phone buzzed with the family group chat. Mum. Formal dinner tonight. Everyone dress up. Kylie. Already picked the perfect spot for photos. Nate. Save me a seat, I replied with a simple thumbs-up emoji, then called room service to deliver my new evening gown, courtesy of my signing bonus. As I got ready in my tiny cabin one last time, I could hear Kylie through the wall, talking to someone on the phone. No, trust me, she totally bombed it. You should have seen her face at lunch. Finally, she'll stop trying to compete with me. I smiled at my reflection, adjusting my designer dress. In a few hours, they'd learn just how wrong they were. My phone lit up with a message from Ruby. Everything's set. The captain will make the announcement at dinner. Perfect. I took one last look around the cramped cabin that my siblings had meant to humiliate me with. By tomorrow, I'd be looking down at their balcony from the penthouse suite. Sometimes, karma needs a little help with timing. I headed toward the dining room, my heels clicking against the deck. Time to show my family exactly what their little career girl could do. I wore my plainest black dress to dinner, letting Kylie bask in her moment. She was practically glowing, holding court at the table in a sparkly designer number that probably cost more than my old laptop. Oh, and the brand collaboration is basically a done deal, she was saying as I sat down. They're flying me to Paris next month for the campaign launch. Which brand is that? I asked innocently, buttering a roll. Maison Lafayette, she preened. Not that you'd know them. They're very exclusive. I bit back a smile, thinking of the email I'd received an hour ago about their massive influencer scandal. Their stock was in free fall. Speaking of careers, Mum turned to me. How did your presentation go, honey? Before I could answer, a uniformed crew member appeared at my elbow. Ms. Richards? Yes? Kylie and I answered simultaneously. He looked at his tablet. Heidi Richards, the captain would like to escort you to your new accommodations. The table fell silent. Kylie's fork clattered against her plate. I'm sorry, Dad frowned. New accommodations? As if on cue, the captain himself appeared, resplendent in his formal whites. Ms. Richards, it's an honour. We've prepared the penthouse suite according to your executive status. Executive status? Kylie's voice went up an octave. The captain smiled broadly. Indeed, it's not every day we host the new Vice President of Asia-Pacific Operations and head of marketing strategy for our entire cruise line. I stood up slowly, smoothing my dress. Thank you, Captain. I trust the champagne I ordered has been delivered? Of course. And may I say, your proposals for our luxury market expansion are brilliant. Nate's jaw literally dropped. Mum's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. Shall we? The captain offered his arm. I turned to my family. Please, enjoy your dinner. I'll be hosting a small celebration in the Penthouse later, if anyone would like to join. Kylie's face had gone from shocked to thunderous. This is a joke, right? You can't just... Actually, I can. I smiled sweetly. It's amazing what doors open when you work hard instead of sabotaging others. But my cabin is next to the Penthouse, she sputtered. I specifically booked it for the view. Oh, about that? I paused. There might be some cabin reassignments happening. Corporate restructuring, you understand? The captain nodded seriously. Yes, we've had to make some changes to accommodate the new executive suite requirements. Kylie's face went pale. Nate looked like he might be sick. You'll be notified of your new room assignments shortly, I added. I hear the lower deck has plenty of space. Mum finally found her voice. Heidi, honey, what's going on? Just a little career advancement, Mum. Nothing to worry about. I took the captain's offered arm. Though Kylie might want to check her emails about that Maison Lafayette deal. I hear they're having some issues with their influencer program. As we walked away, I heard Kylie's phone ping. Her subsequent shriek told me she'd just received the cancellation notice. The captain led me through the ship's most luxurious corridors, past wide-eyed passengers and saluting crew members. Ruby waited by the penthouse doors with a knowing smile. Your suite is ready, Ms. Richards, she said, swiping a keycard. And the view is... exceptional. The doors opened to reveal a stunning 2-story suite with floor-to-ceiling windows. And there, directly below my private balcony, was Kylie's now former luxury cabin. Will there be anything else? The captain asked. I walked to the window, watching my family's table in the distance. Kylie was frantically typing on her phone while Nate stared into space. Mum and Dad were having what looked like a heated discussion. Just one thing, I said. Could you make sure my siblings' new room assignments have a clear view of this balcony? I'd hate for them to miss anything. Ruby's grin was positively wicked. I'll handle it personally. After they left, I changed into the evening gown I'd had delivered, a stunning red number that cost exactly what I'd been planning to spend on a new laptop. Poetic justice. My phone buzzed with a text from Ali. How's the revenge going? I walked onto the balcony, champagne in hand, just as Kylie and Nate trudged back to their soon-to-be former cabin. They looked up, saw me, and froze. I raised my glass in a mock toast. Perfect, I texted back. Absolutely perfect. The next morning, I ordered breakfast on my private balcony, timing it perfectly with Kylie's usual morning routine. Right on schedule, she emerged from her downgraded cabin, stopping dead when she saw me lounging in a silk robe, sipping fresh-pressed juice. Sleep well? I called down sweetly. She stormed off without responding, but not before I caught her snapping a photo. Minutes later, her Instagram showed her enjoying breakfast at the exclusive captain's table, clearly photoshopped. I commented, Weird, I can see you eating a banana on your balcony right now. The post disappeared within seconds. Ruby appeared with my schedule for the day. Your sister tried to book the spa's premium suite. I had to inform her it's reserved for executive guests only. What a shame, I smiled. Book it for me instead. Around her usual massage time, the spa attendant's face when I walked in, while Kylie was being turned away, was priceless. I made sure to book all the premium services, hot stone massage, gold facial, the works. This is ridiculous. Nate confronted me in the relaxation lounge afterward. You're just being petty now. I adjusted my cucumber slices. Funny, that's not what you called it when you were destroying my property. That was different. We were just what? I sat up, letting the cucumbers fall. Just trying to ruin my career, just trying to humiliate me? How is that different? He shifted uncomfortably. Kylie said, You planted thorns and thought only I would bleed. I cut him off. How's that working out for you? Before he could respond, my phone buzzed. Another anonymous message. Check your sister's latest brand deal post. I pulled up Kylie's Instagram. She was promoting some sketchy diet tea, claiming it was approved by top doctors, a clear FTC violation. With my new corporate access, it took exactly 2 emails to have her reported to the relevant authorities. Within hours, her sponsored content deals started falling like dominoes. "This is all your fault," she shrieked, bursting into my suite that evening. "You're ruining everything." I didn't look up from my laptop. "Security? Yes, I have an unauthorized person in my suite." "You can't call security on me. I'm your sister." "Funny, that didn't stop you from destroying my property and trying to sabotage my career." I finally met her eyes. "Actions have consequences, Kylie. Welcome to the real world." 2 security officers appeared. "Is there a problem, Miss Richards?" "Yes," I smiled. "This influencer is harassing an executive. Please escort her out." Kylie's face went from red to purple. "You think you're so clever? Wait until Mum and Dad hear about this." "About what?" I pulled up the security footage on my tablet. "About how you orchestrated the laptop incident? Or about how you've been lying to your followers about brand partnerships?" She went pale. "That's what I thought." I nodded to security. She was just leaving. After she was gone, Ruby appeared with a report. "Your sister's trying to damage control on social media. It's not going well." I scrolled through the comments on Kylie's latest post. Her followers were catching on to her fake luxury lifestyle, calling out her photoshopped locations and borrowed designer clothes. "Should we do something?" Ruby asked. "No need." I closed the laptop. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people see the truth. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. "Family dinner tonight? Please?" I thought about declining, but maybe it was time for some honest conversation. "Fine. Main dining room, 8 p.m. I dressed carefully in another new designer outfit. Simple but elegant. The kind of thing Kylie always pretended she could afford. As I walked to dinner, I passed a mirror and barely recognized myself. Gone was the woman who'd boarded this ship, feeling small and defensive. In her place stood someone who knew her worth and wasn't afraid to show it. My phone buzzed one last time before dinner. An anonymous message. "Karma's not done yet. Watch the entertainment news tomorrow morning." I smiled, tucking the phone away. Whatever was coming, I had a front row seat from my penthouse view. And speaking of views, I could see Kylie through the dining room windows, already at the table, wearing what was obviously a knockoff dress. Her Instagram claimed it was vintage Dior. Time to go burst another bubble. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about finally standing up and showing exactly who you've become while they were busy trying to tear you down. The family dinner started exactly how I expected, with Mom trying to play peacemaker while Dad studied his menu like it held the secrets of the universe. "Girls, can't we just talk about this?" Mum pleaded. "Talk about what?" Kylie's voice was sharp. "How Heidi's letting success go to her head." I sipped my wine. That's rich coming from someone who just lost all her sponsorships for fraud. "What?" Dad finally looked up. "What sponsorships?" "Oh, you didn't know?" I pulled out my tablet. "Let me show you Kylie's creative approach to social media authenticity." I played the compilation. Kylie posting fake luxury hotel stays, actually taken in the lobby, claiming partnerships with brands that had never heard of her, photoshopping herself into exclusive events. "It's called marketing," Kylie snapped, but her voice wavered. "It's called lying," I corrected. "And that's not even the best part." I switched to the security footage of her and Nate destroying my laptop. Mum's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God. That's not... We didn't..." Nate stammered. "You didn't what?" I leaned forward. "Didn't deliberately try to ruin my career. Didn't spend years undermining everything I worked for. You always had to be so perfect," Kylie exploded. "Little Miss Straight A's, always working so hard, making the rest of us look bad." "Look bad?" I laughed incredulously. "I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college after you convinced them to cut off my tuition. I lived on ramen while you were posting fake yacht parties." "Heidi," Dad started. "Surely you're exaggerating." "No, she's not," Mum cut in quietly. "I found the old bank statements last month. She really did work 3 jobs, while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. Silence fell over the table. "Why didn't you tell us?" Dad asked. "Would you have believed me over your precious Kylie?" The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. "You never did before." Kylie stood up suddenly. "This is ridiculous. You're all falling for her poor little victim act again?" "Sit down." Mum's voice was steel. "We're not done." "Actually, we are." I pulled out my phone and played the final recording, Kylie's conversation about sabotaging my presentation. "You didn't just try to hurt me, you tried to destroy everything I worked for. And for what? Because you couldn't stand someone else succeeding?" Nate looked sick. "Kylie told me it was just a prank." "A prank." I turned to him. "Was it a prank when she convinced you to tell my college boyfriend I was cheating? Or when she made you help her steal my scholarship application?" His face went white. "How did you—" "Ruby's very good at finding security footage." I stood up. "But here's what you both forgot. I didn't get where I am by letting people like you stop me." "Heidi, please." Mum reached for my hand. "We can fix this." "Fix what? The years of manipulation, the sabotage, the way you all treated me like I was nothing because I chose to work instead of fake it on social media?" Dad finally spoke up. "We never meant to—" "To what? To favour Kylie? To ignore every red flag? To dismiss everything I accomplished because it didn't fit your perfect family narrative?" Kylie was crying now. Real tears, not the fake ones she used for Instagram. "You're ruining everything." "No," I said quietly. "You did that yourself. I just stopped hiding it." My phone buzzed. A message from Ruby. "Entertainment News just broke the story about Maison Lafayette dropping all their influencers over fraud. Your sister's name is mentioned specifically." I showed the article to Kylie. "Looks like your Paris trip is cancelled." She grabbed her purse and ran from the restaurant. Nate started to follow, then stopped. "I'm sorry," he said softly. "I really am." "Actions don't unburn bridges," I replied. Mum was crying silently. Dad looked lost. The perfect family image they'd cultivated for so long was finally cracking. Another message lit up my phone. From the cruise line's PR team. "Need you to host the final night gala tomorrow. VIP status confirmed." I gathered my things. "I have a meeting to prepare for. Enjoy your dinner." "Heidi," Mum called after me, "we really did love you. We didn't understand." I paused at the door. "Love without respect isn't love, Mum. It's just control wearing a pretty mask." I walked away, leaving them with the bill and the weight of years of willful blindness. Sometimes the hardest part of revenge isn't executing it. It's watching people finally face the truth they've been running from all along. The final night's gala transformed the ship's grand ballroom into something out of a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead as I stood greeting guests in my new role as the cruise line's executive representative. "Quite a different view from that storage closet, isn't it?" Ruby appeared beside me in a sleek black dress, my personal guest for the evening. "Just a bit." I smiled, watching Kylie slink in wearing last season's knockoff, trying to avoid the influencers who were now openly mocking her latest scandal. My phone buzzed with a message from Ali. "Your story just went viral on LinkedIn. From sabotage to success, how corporate undermining backfired. People are loving it." Mum and Dad approached cautiously, looking uncomfortable in their formal wear. "Honey," Mum started, "we've been thinking about what you said." "Ms. Richards?" a server interrupted. "The captain requests your presence for the opening speech." I touched Mum's arm gently. "We'll talk later." The captain's introduction was brief but pointed. "Tonight, we're honoured to have with us the architect of our company's new luxury marketing strategy, Ms. Heidi Richards." Standing at the microphone, I could see my entire family scattered through the crowd. Nate hovering by the bar, Mom and Dad holding hands nervously, Kylie trying to hide behind a pillar as her phone kept buzzing with notifications about her influencer scandal. "Success isn't just about climbing higher," I began. "It's about remembering every step that got you there, including the ones people tried to make you stumble on." Kylie's face flushed red. She turned to leave, but found Ruby's staff blocking every exit. "Sometimes family can be our greatest support," I continued, "and sometimes they can teach us exactly who we don't want to become. The crowd applauded as I stepped down. Various executives and investors immediately surrounded me, but I caught snippets of conversation from nearby. Isn't that the fake influencer's sister? Did you hear what they did to her laptop? Talk about karma. Nate approached during a quiet moment. I posted a public apology on Instagram for everything. I saw it. I really was awful, wasn't I? Yes, I said simply. You were. He nodded slowly. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you, even if I was too stupid to show it before. Actions speak louder than words, Nate. I know. He handed me a card. That's why I applied for a real job. Entry-level marketing assistant. Maybe you could look at my application? Not for special treatment, just honest feedback. I took the card, remembering the little brother who used to build pillow forts with me before Kylie poisoned everything. I'll think about it. Mum and Dad finally cornered me by the dessert table. We failed you, Dad said quietly. We were so busy protecting Kylie's feelings that we never protected yours. We can't change the past, Mum added, but maybe we can do better. I studied their faces, the genuine regret, the awkward hope. Maybe, but not overnight. We understand, Dad nodded. We'll earn it back, however long it takes. Kylie made one last dramatic appearance, mascara running. Are you happy now? You've ruined everything. No, Kylie. I kept my voice calm. You ruined things all by yourself. I just stopped covering for you. She fled the ballroom in tears. This time, no one followed. The party continued around us. Ruby appeared with champagne. Your suite's been upgraded to permanent executive status on all future cruises. I raised my glass, thinking of that tiny storage room where this all began. Funny how things work out. My phone lit up one final time. A notification that my story had been picked up by major business publications. Corporate sabotage leads to executive success. A lesson in resilience. Ms. Richards, the captain approached. We're ready for the fireworks. Would you like to start them from the bridge? I looked at my family. Nate with his job application, my parents with their cautious hope, and somewhere below, Kylie facing real consequences perhaps for the first time. Actually, I smiled, I have a better idea. Ruby, is the view good from my sister's old balcony suite? Ruby's grin was wicked. The best in the house. Perfect. I turned to my family. Shall we? Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about rising so far above them that they're forced to look up and see exactly what they tried to tear down. And sometimes, just sometimes, that view can change everything. Time for fireworks, I said, leading the way. I hear Karma puts on quite a show.